Hi, this is Kim Watson of Easy Trader. In this video, I just want to cover the very important question: should cryptocurrencies be taken seriously? Now, Bitcoin is in its 10th year, and it was actually registered, I believe, in the 18th of August 2008. First registered, the name was at least. So it's effectively just over 10 years old. Lots happened since then, but the main popularity has occurred in the last year or two. Should they be taken seriously? Well, I think we should look at the principles behind these currencies. The first point was to provide a currency that is not manipulated by banks and governments and can be used to pay peer-to-peer and moved from peer-to-peer, person to person, worldwide. There was to be a finite amount of that particular currency and no more. Now, of course, that's changed slightly with Bitcoin forking off and having Litecoin, etc. But it's still only a certain amount of that particular currency or any additional currency that's in circulation. Transactions can be carried out, and this is the most important thing, with the best of the blockchain technology. The transfer times is absolutely razor sharp. Some problems have occurred with Bitcoin, for example, itself, in terms of the timing of how long it's taken to fully carry out the transaction. But transactions, the principles were to get transactions to be carried out in the fraction of the time it would take a bank to move money from one country to another country. The other factor and the principle was to reduce the transfer costs. Anyone that was earning money in one country and sending it back to their home country and their families, etc., were taking at least 10% hits on the money that they were transferring. So they were losing 10% of the value of what they'd earned to send back. That was obviously a principle which they wanted a cheaper method. You can see who these people or who's going to be the main objectors, of course, to the technology to a degree. The idea was payment and settlement all in one step. The money is shown in one person's wallet. It can be transferred across. It's checked that it's there in the first place. It's sent. It's gone. No borrowing money, whatever. The payment's been done. It's all one step. Both sides of the ledger are completed at one go. So the coins themselves often were to fund projects such as blockchain projects and the continuation of the technologies surrounding these. Now, that's where some of the money has gone in. That's the principles, was to raise money for technology or further technology advancement. Of course, others were complete fraud. Now, the concerns. Now, the principles that were being undermined to a degree, the principle wasn't that speculators just buy the coins or not use them. The intention was that the money would be effectively liquidity. It would be highly liquid, and money would be moved backwards and forwards to spend. The principle of having a finite amount means that the value can rise, taking them out of reach of some, and of course, Litecoin was there, and it's a lower value, and it makes it more in reach. Although even with Bitcoin, you can have a tiny little part of a coin. So they're not solid coins. They are spread in parts of. But the principle is sort of slightly undermined a little bit by the strong gain there. They've been used much more as assets than anything else. Of course, with anything like this, criminals will find their way into making money, which was initially untraceable, or moving money, and that was always a concern, and that was a concern that made it less acceptable to the face of governments. Anyone that can have their own currency now, they can have their own currency within 10 minutes. You can invent your own coin pretty quickly. There's at least one site I've seen out there where you can put your own coin out. That in effect opens it up to just about anyone to produce a coin, which you know where that could go. So there's the concerns in there. Is there a future for it? Well, the future, whoops, this goes back a little bit here. It seems that the initial excitement of cryptocurrencies may have slowed down, but as I've been discovering, it's very much only on face value. The genuine behind the scenes and in different countries, it may be just in the UK here, it's slowed down somewhat, but in the US and in many other countries, there's a lot of excitement still. Of course, the taking away this such thing as Facebook advertising for some of these initial coin offerings, etc., has reduced the public knowledge, and also other factors. Some may be driven by holidays, so it's slowed down a little bit. But to be fair, the fact that Bitcoin's fallen 68% from its hyped high may have taken a bit of the thing out of the markets and the discussion about crypto as well. So people may be sitting on coins rather than spending them, doing anything else with them, because they bought them at a much higher value. So it's taken away some of the volatility, or liquidity should I say. The volatility is certainly there. Now, some aspects of the principles and what's happening are working well. With some currencies, they're working as originally intended, and money has been moved left, right, and centre, and it's working. There will always be some doubts, and of course the biggest doubters originally were banks and governments, and to be fair, there's logic to why governments, as I said, with the fact that it's less traceable, although there's been steps taken to trace back Bitcoin that's been moved around illegally. They effectively crunching the numbers and finding the data to prove that money's being moved around. Of course, the banks are going to be hit the hardest, and in some respects, because generally it's not their money that's being used, and it's not their facilities that are being used, so they're losing a revenue stream potentially. Now, it's the technologies that is what the future should be all about for crypto. Whether the coins survive is another factor, but most likely they will do. But it's the technologies that sit behind them, the blockchain technology, the different blockchain, different technologies. Some are significantly better than others. What are people saying about cryptos? This is always an interesting factor. Of course, you've got Warren Buffett, not a real currency. Well, what is a real currency? If I exchanged bartered with something, it becomes a currency. So for once, I'm probably, or maybe not just for once, but I would disagree. But there we are. Branson, it's working. It is money. We must accept it. Taking the person more near my age's perspective of it, it's obviously it's money at the end of the day. Gates, exciting, cheap and easy. These people, that they can see the potential from it. Of course, from the dark side, there's Jordan Belfont, the Wolf of Wall Street as he was known. It's a scammer's dream. It's literally, as I said, with the ICOs out there, well, we've already seen it. There's the hype that goes behind it. It is absolutely a great place to be. So you've got to tread very carefully. From the Fed's point of view, particularly Fed Bostic, he's announced that he cannot imagine the Fed endorsing blockchain-based currency until it's possible to distinguish its use for illegal versus illegal activities. This is always a problem with something which effectively is for the people, by the people, that there is the risk that, as I say, the darker side of things come into play. So that's what's being said at the moment. As I said, there are some cons about this. One, of course, is anyone can have their own coin, so they can be just open to fraud. And the market is certainly open to fraud by all sorts. And I can give you some fantastic quotes that I've seen out in the marketplace there of the speculated price of Bitcoin, which I'll come on to another video. Technology is open to hacks and theft, but so are banks. We've seen both happen here. But the technology, some of the technology, the advancements being made are significant. So the technology will continue to improve. But of course, it's open. It's at the end of the day, it's online. With the initial coin offerings, unlike initial share offerings, the initial share offerings come with a proportion of the value of the company. Initial coin offerings do not. They are just segregated. They are just literally the value of raising money for a business, not a part of the business. So when you're subscribing into any initial coin, you're literally buying the coin. So it's no rights, just risk. Lags regulation. Well, we moan about regulation, but there's a safety in regulation. The right regulation is probably what's needed, but that may be coming in different forms. Can we trade them? Of course, I get the question as a currency. Well, the price is compared to the US dollar or other major currencies or other cryptocurrencies. I mean, I actually look at it versus the US dollar because it makes more sense to me to look at it. Okay, it's a fiat currency I'm looking at it against, but I'm used to dollars, etc., and it's more spendable, and we're looking generally as investors. If you're trading or buying these coins, you're thinking about actually what's the value, what's it likely to go up, and you're not thinking about the Bitcoin literally against another crypto. Generally, you're looking at it against the US dollar or the pound or the euro. So the price is compared to other currencies, and it's available on many brokers. Brokers have made it possible along with other currency offerings, so you can see them. ETX, all of these brokers, Saxo, etc. They have all popped on the opportunity to trade these major currencies. I would say the major cryptos. Of course, again, I've got 30-40 cryptos which I've got charts available. In fact, there's probably many more that I can have the charts for, but there's a number that I've got charts for with reasonable history. So you could trade them. You could obviously buy the physical pairing of physical coins as opposed to trying to trade them like we would do the pound dollar, etc., where we're actually just trading the movement of currencies effectively. You could, as I say, you could just like if you invested in gold, you could buy gold or trade gold. Would it be better to be buying Bitcoin or one of the cryptos? There's a question. Not as flexible as normal pairing, but it may reduce some of the risk and volatility. In terms of day trading them, before I come back to day trading, can we trade them as a currency? One thing, of course, they're on the Bitcoin itself, is on the futures market, so there's opportunities to trade the futures on there. There's talks of them being put into an exchange traded funds, but there's stickiness about that, but it may happen. There's a lot of progress. A lot of banks are working with some of the bigger coins like Ripple, etc. They've got a lot of interest coming through, and that in itself may make these things more tradable. Okay, so can we day trade them? Of course, the facilities are there for Bitcoin and a few others to day trade them if you really wanted to. As I said, they're on the broker side, but the risk can be massive. The volatility on some of them is just whoa. And many have low relative volume, so they're difficult in terms of what you're doing. It's the gaps that would catch people. The slippage is inevitable, and even with a 20% margin requirement versus the 0.5% on a currency, you could have your account wiped out with at least with a 1,000-point gap on that we've seen on Bitcoin at times. So some of these big movements could literally just wipe out your trading account. So day trading probably isn't the right way to be thinking of these, for sure. However, they are tradable. The technology will be here. I say may well be here. Will be here to stay. Although, of course, you can liken it to the dot-com stages from 94 to 2002. There were some great dot-com companies. There were some really great dot-com scams. The ones that survived are amongst the biggest companies in the world today, so we shouldn't forget that. History itself could repeat itself if we see a boom bust. It may be just peter out. The damage that these currencies may do to the world economy is also being questioned by some. There are some great opportunities, I think, without any doubt. There's opportunities out there. Now, having lived through the introduction of colour TVs, photocopiers, fax machines, mobile phones, the internet, mobile phones which have apps for just about everything you can think of now, contactless, cashless living, effectively. I don't even need to take a credit card out with me anymore. I just wave my phone at something. Wireless, just about everything that you can think of. You don't even have to get up to switch a light off. You can do it with your phone, or you can clap your hands, or you can do something which actually adjusts something else. Pretty much everything is possible at the moment. So where are we with these cryptos? Well, should cryptocurrencies really be taken seriously? Well, I would suggest yes, of course they should be. So we will be taking and looking at them more gradually. I mean, we're not going into major, as I said, they're not for day trading. They're for more long-term possible investments and maybe looked at as an asset as opposed to a currency as we would trade many of the fiat currencies, the pound, dollar, euro, dollar, etc. So they don't come into that, but they may well be, there may be a place for them, as I say, more of an asset class. Okay, so that's my opinion. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you want to hear more, make sure you just join our community, click on the subscribe button, and if you want to get the videos as we release them, there's a little bell next to the subscribe. Give a click on that as well, and you'll be alerted when a new video goes up. Best wishes. Bye for now.